Students take a strong stance against violence. That's the story we're tracking in your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, December 11. So glad you can join us. I'm Frenella Wedderburn. Scores of school children marched through the city today, declaring a firm no to violence. Armed with placards, the Peace Army, accompanied by music trucks and school bands, chanted slogans including "Hate No, Love Yes" and "Use Your Brain, Violence is Insane." The event, which comes on the heels of the November 8th fatal stabbing of Frederick Smith student Tamaria Holder, climaxed with a large rally in Queen's Park. Nicholas Maynard, a senior prefect at Frederick Smith, urged students to speak out against violence.
We will march, walk to bring focus and heighten awareness, and do whatever we as students must do to have our voices heard. I am calling on all of us to join the We Students movement, a movement created by the 6 firm students of the Harrison's College, encouraging us to speak up, but not only speak up, but to step up on matters affecting us as students. My fellow students, I believe in our effective leadership in stamping out these things of our schools together. Let us begin the journey of making our schools great again.
His counterpart, Rondella Boyce, also had a special message for her peers. She called on students to create positive change.
I do not want to see, as a young person, too much of us are being involved in gambling and violence and killing. I want to see a change. I want to become a motivational speaker. I want to help those who have been in the same position as I am, and I'm willing to help those who have been involved in drugs and violence, and I want to encourage those who are here right now. If you could hear me by the voice of my voice, please. You have the choice to change. You have the choice to make who you want. You have the opportunity to decide what you want to become, who you want to do, what you have in your mind. You can do anything. And I want to leave this with you. You are brilliant, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're beautiful. Do not let anyone change that from you. You can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. Remember that and just love yourself. If you can't love yourself, who can love you?
Education Minister Santia Bradshaw walked hand in hand with the students today, and when she addressed the rally, she made it clear that all key players must put aside their own interests and focus on building a safe society for children.
I want the Frederick Smith School, as I want other schools in this country, to settle down. But it is only going to settle down if all of us realize that we have a part to play in allowing schools to settle down. It is only going to change if we put aside our agendas. There isn't a teacher agenda, there isn't a union agenda, there isn't a ministry agenda, there isn't a student agenda. Because tragedy has taught us when something happens, there's only one agenda, and it is family. And so I say to you as we gather here today, allow this tragedy to lift you and lift your spirits.
In other news this Wednesday, Prime Minister Mia Mottley today unveiled big plans to deepen cooperation with Kenya. Following bilateral talks, Mottley signed 3 memoranda of understanding and promised that more will be signed in the coming weeks. Mottley told a press conference that the agreements will benefit citizens from the 2 countries.
We will host your indigenous banks within 6 weeks in Barbados to begin to explore the opportunities of them investing into our part of the world. Barbados has lead responsibility for the CARICOM single market and single economy, so that we're conscious, just as we are in a region where you belong to the East Africa community, as well as now the Africa Free Trade community, we also will be able to open up for you the wider CARICOM Caribbean community. And to that extent, therefore, our entrepreneurs and our businesses will have access to larger markets and greater opportunities. the ability to also encourage investment between our two countries such that we can have our indigenous private sector diversify their investments. And at the cultural and social level, we're starting it with the children. And we've already exchanged a number of schools at the primary and the secondary level with each other so that those schools can partner without reference to our positions of high state getting into their way.
The Salvation Army has increased its Christmas food hampers to 4,000 this year to meet the needs of thousands of Barbadians struggling to survive the harsh economic climate. Divisional Commander Major Darrell Wilkinson said that while approximately 3,700 parcels of food items were given out last year, the decision to increase that number was due to the long list of persons seeking help. Wilkinson said the Army was looking forward to a turnaround in the economy to reduce the number of needy persons knocking on its doors for assistance. Senators paid glowing tribute to the late Lady Beverly Warren, who on Saturday succumbed to injuries sustained in an accident in Florida. During the Family Law Miscellaneous Provisions Bill 2019 debate, independent Senators Monique Tate and Kevin Boyce all spoke glowingly about the attorney who is credited as the architect of the family court.
It would be remiss of me if I did not recognize the passing of a stalwart in the area of family law in this country, and that would be Lady Beverly Warren. And it is with sadness that I rise and speak of her.
Certainly in a context where we're debating family law and legislation which seeks to improve that process, the fact that Lady Waldron would be unable to see the benefit of it, I think compounds the tragedy of her loss.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
To regional happenings now in Trinidad and Tobago, a Rastafarian organization is speaking out as a group of religious leaders lobby against the government's move to decriminalize the possession of cannabis. More in this report from CCN TV6.
At a news conference in Diego Martin on Tuesday morning, a more challenged provisions of the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Bill 2019. Firstly, they believe the possession of 30 to 60 grams of cannabis should not be an offense as outlined in Section 5A. They asked for amendments to immediately discharge all pending charges for cannabis possession up to 2 kilograms, as well as to automatically expunge all past convictions of possession up to 2 kilograms.
These fines has made the present law issued by the government even more draconian than those what were implied by our slave masters. And it spells great disaster for the poor classes of people.
Further afield, tomorrow is election day in Britain. In the final hours of campaigning, Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn were focusing on Brexit and public services. Johnson is expecting a close election.
Obviously, every vote counts. This is the most important election that I can remember in my political lifetime, and the choice is absolutely stark. We can either go forward with a one-nation conservative agenda, investing massively in the NHS, massively in our schools, putting 20,000 more police on the streets, doing all the things that we want to do as a one-nation conservative government, getting Brexit done to allow our country to move forward, and we're the only party at this election that can get Brexit done.
For his part, Corbyn is confident of victory.
We've been in 82 constituencies now, a few more to go, travelled all around the country, and the enthusiasm of our party supporters and workers to get out there and get a message is incredible, and I think that message is getting through.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.